Nokia and our customers about what's coming so that we can actually help build the networks that are going to be needed to support these new developments. And I should say a word quickly about Nokia here. A lot of you may know us as a company because of the phones that we used to do, but we sold that business to Microsoft in 2013, so we haven't done that for a while. And what we still have, which we always had, but it wasn't as well known, is the business-to-business market of manufacturing the hardware and software that actually creates the networks. So we're a network equipment vendor, and our customers now are largely the phone companies of the world and large companies that want to have their own private mobile networks. So we do mobile, we do fixed. We're very much an end-to-end provider for everything telecommunication to sell to the phone companies of the world. And so that's why they have people like me looking at what's coming, because we need to know what is coming from outside the world of telecommunications so we can make sure we build the networks that are going to be necessary for supporting these things that are coming. And so also, it's really useful if we can see the things that are coming that are definitely going to need 5G, which the things I'm going to talk about today will, and I'll mention that a bit, so that we can actually, help the phone companies of the world understand that if I build a 5G network, they're going to be using it for more than slightly just faster video, because, that's important. Okay, so let's start talking about the spatial internet. And first of all, what is the spatial internet? Well, it's really the culmination of everything that AR and VR is kind of developing today. It's where all of this is going. And so here's a picture that's an example from Magic Leap that's actually a very good example of this. And so so it's the idea of taking information about things or locations or historical events and actually locating that information out there in the world where the information is most relevant. So in this view here, we can see, this is New York City, and we've got traffic information, we've got bus information, we've got information about the weather and how fast it's going to be until that stoplight turns red. You've got restaurant information. So it's a really kind of informational, functional kind of view. But imagine though, because there's going to be different levels of this thing. Perhaps you are interested in the historical view, and so the same picture, it might give you a view of what this street corner looked like in New York in 1725. Or perhaps you're interested in a gaming view, in which case everything is repainted to look like something out of Fortnite. These are the kinds of things that are coming and that are really the culmination of, as I said, the AR and VR work that's being done now. Now, what you really need for the spatial internet is not only some kind of a device to help you interpret the world around you, but you need to have a digital map. You've got to have kind of a digital twin or a three-dimensional mapping of the world to be able to hang the information on so that you can actually get this information when you get there. And it needs to be actually at a resolution that's greater than the resolution of GPS. So let's take a look at the companies that are working in this area right now and laying the foundation for this kind of experience for us all to come to. But actually first, let me give you the big vision here in the spatial internet. This is a quote. Kevin Kelly had an article about what Wired magazine calls the mirror world, same thing, from February of 2019. And I really recommend you're going back and looking up this mirror world article if you're interested in more information, because it's a great article. But long quote, "Someday soon, every place and thing in the real world, every street, lamppost, building, and room will have its full-size digital twin in the mirror world. Whoever dominates this grand third platform," and here he's thinking about this as the next big thing in the internet itself being the first platform, social media being the second, "will become among the wealthy and most powerful people and companies in history. Augmented reality is the technology underpinning the mirror world. It is the awkward newborn that will grow into a giant." Everything I see in the research that I do tells me that this is true, because augmented reality is the filter through which you actually can see these new realities. And and it's not good enough just to have a phone and you look through your phone all the time. No, we're actually talking about moving into some kind of headset so this information is available to you all the time. And so early moves in this space are actually coming with operators that are, and when I say operator, I mean phone companies, that are working on 5G. Also, you know, obviously we're here, all of us are involved in this industry to a certain extent, so, you know, you do understand a certain amount about this, I assume. But what this looks like back in the network is we've got these goggles, and right now this is KDDI's 5G launch, and they're partnering with Nreal, so you've got a wire leading to the KDDI phone that has 5G running. Um, and 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 why do you need 5G for these kinds of experiences? Well, first of all, you do want to move the processing off of the headset to make the headset as light and as streamlined as possible. And so you need to put the processing nearby, though, so that the rendering of the images that you see is not very far away, so that it can actually have a chance of being very responsive as you turn your head quickly. And so 4G is simply not good enough for that. Anyone who's tested this, you know, knows. But you also can't have it very far away. So right now they're looking at putting this stuff, well, they're putting these things in the phone or some other kind of device nearby. But long term, who wants to have a headset with a wire hanging off of it? Long term, moving this kind of processing into the network, not very far away from the end user, so distributed within the network, and then a 5G connection as that last leg. That's really the model that we're looking at here, to really get the spatial internet be so that, you know, say in 2030, I can wear glasses that look like this, and I can have, you know, all the information out there at my fingertips. Now, so KDDI is working with Nreal, and the kinds of things that they're working on with this is they're looking for their 5G launch at really doing lots of creative augmented reality at the Shibuya neighborhood in Tokyo. And so this is an example from something that they did that was public back in September of last year. Where they really just kind of went crazy with, like, here's all the things that we can see with augmented reality. We got fish swimming by, we got balloons going by, here's the weather, here's some video playing. But also, let's look at monetizing this. And so one thing that KDDI is doing that's really interesting is they're actually working with, talking to the building owners in Shibuya to agree to have this augmented reality advertising on the front of the building so that they can actually share the revenues with KDDI. You know, this kind of thing, there's going to be all kinds of interesting exploration in the creation of the spatial internet and figuring out how the business models go and figuring out where the money is. And so, you know, here's just one very early example. But the companies to really look at for that, the creation of the spatial internet, because the foundation of it depends on, first of all, that mapping, the 3D mapping of the world that you then hang the information on with anchors. And so the main companies that are working on this, there's 5 that I'm aware of. If you know of any more, you know, find me on LinkedIn and let me know, because I want to know. But the 5 that I see: Niantic, Pokemon Go, they're out there mapping the world. They just acquired the 3D scanning company 6D.ai. These guys are fantastic. They are serious about creating new experiences out there, and they're coming from the gaming world, but I think these guys have a really serious future ahead of them. I really love Niantic. Another company, Microsoft, they're actually working on Minecraft Earth, which last I heard was still in beta, but if you can find it out on the App Store, it's out there. I've got it. Download it, try it out. It's really excellent. The thing that Minecraft Earth kind of opens up, it's like Pokemon Go, but it lets you build things. And so, for example, from their marketing video, you know, here's a castle tower added to somebody's house. And so you can actually build these things, and then you can share them with other people in the game. And then they can actually modify them or destroy them or whatever. And so right now, these things that you build, they go away when you leave the instance of the game that you're in. But in the future, I can absolutely see this as a tool so that people actually start building things to create for other strangers, you know, that are persistent, actually, so that strangers can see them. And this is where we start getting a crowdsourced spatial internet with multiple realities available to anyone visually at any time. This is actually the, you know, where everything explodes and gets really spectacular about this. Microsoft has been very intelligent. They're leveraging Minecraft Earth to do that mapping and to get those to their Azure anchors all over the world, so that they're going to be able to do things next in this space. And actually, the Minecraft Earth playing experience, if you haven't done it yet, let me show you. So they have these, so you know, you go around and you do Minecrafty things, but every now and then you get these adventures. And so you have to physically walk up to the adventure. And then once you do, it clicks over to your camera and you have to place the adventure. And then now we've got this AR experience where the adventure is actually much more integrated into my visual world than we did have in the first iteration of Pokemon Go, for example. And now I can actually interact with this particular block of Minecraft. I can collect the eggs, I can start digging, and it becomes actually quite exciting because you start digging, oh no, spiders, and they can leap out and kill you, and it's all very great. And so Minecraft Earth, really nice early mixed reality on the phone, available for everybody. But this is a Trojan horse for Microsoft to build their Azure anchors all over the world, which is what they're doing. Other companies, so I'd mentioned 3 companies, Niantic, Microsoft, the next one, Facebook. Facebook has recently purchased Scape Technologies. That's a British company that's been doing 3D mapping of 100 major cities in the world. Facebook has also done an exclusive deal with Plessey, the eyeglasses manufacturer, for exclusive AR lenses through them. So they're clearly getting in position to build all this stuff. The next one up, Google, of course. They actually have persistent cloud anchors as part of their AR core kit right now. That's been out since September, was the early developer access for that. And then the last, but certainly not least company that I have on my short list of 5 that I'm keeping an eye on is Apple. Now, Apple has made no public pronouncements in this regard. There are, of course, all kinds of rumors, but let me just show you some of the concrete things that I'm seeing. First of all, I live in Silicon Valley, and just down the road from me is Apple's headquarters. And at their visitor center, you can see the actual big circular building that they just built through the trees there. But what they have in the visitor center is this you know, here's the model of what the campus looks like, because you small human person are not allowed on campus, but here's what the campus looks like. And then the way that you're able to see and explore it is through this augmented reality experience on an iPad. And it's a really lovely experience. They've done a great job with it. You can change the time of day. Other AR experiences that Apple has actually done for the public. They had an AR walking tour with artists that was back in August of last year that I went on in San Francisco. Really beautiful, beautiful, gorgeously crafted experience. And then it's not an accident that their iPad Pro that launched in March of last year had LiDAR on it. And so again, totally unconfirmed, totally rumor, but if I were Apple, what I would be doing is using that LiDAR to scan the world and to understand the 3D areas of the places where my customers are, and then use that to help start crafting the AR experiences that I'm going to be building for later. So I personally believe that, so rumors are that Apple is actually looking at coming out with some kind of augmented reality device sometime in the next couple of years. And when they do, I think that's actually very likely to be the big mass market moment when suddenly our experience with this, with, you know, kind of spatial, internet-y, mixed reality kinds of things goes from being through phones and actually then moves into start being headsets in a mass market kind of way. But, you know, we'll see. Everything can change. So that's kind of the big players that are building the foundations for this. And this is really important because this infrastructure needs to be in place before the fully realized spatial internet can happen. But there's another, there's 2 other things that, 3 other things that need to happen for the spatial internet to really become, you know, a thing. One is the headsets need to be there. And so, okay, fine, 5G is really going to enable that, and we've got lots of companies that are working on that. Great, okay. The next thing that needs to happen is that there needs to be interoperability. If we have 5 separate spatial internets, those 5 companies, each of them has a walled garden, that's not going to fly. SMS, for example, only took off when we actually started being able to send SMS from T-Mobile to Verizon. Interoperability really matters. If there's a Microsoft network and a Facebook network and an Apple network, we're going to need some kind of glue to stick all these together, and I think that's actually where a lot of the money is going to be made. Anyway, just my personal opinion there. But then the last thing that needs to be in place is there needs to be a familiarity and an understanding and a comfort level among the people of the world with doing things in a digital way. And this is where actually one of the really important developments that's happened since the advent of COVID and lockdown and everything is that the gaming world has actually suddenly started showing its ability to replace the real world when the real world is not available. And this is a really important psychological moment for the whole world. So let me show you what I'm talking about. First of all, gaming, massive. The gaming global entertainment revenues for 2019, video games generated $152 billion. $152 billion in 2019. That's bigger than movies or music combined. So this massively monetized thing that is already out there that people understand and love. Now, the interesting thing about the COVID moment is that what we're actually seeing is we're seeing the rise of virtual reality coming in. So this is actually from Sandvine. This is from their January to May, looking at world streaming traffic and looking at gaming. And so this is the first time that the Oculus Rift gaming platform has actually shown up in the top 10 of online gaming by traffic. And so this is actually the moment when people, they're stuck at home, they want to go somewhere else. It's like, well, let me check out this VR thing. So this kind of early introduction to VR, and if you try to get a Oculus Rift, if you try to get a Quest right now, they're on back order because everybody's suddenly like, oh, maybe this is the time to try this out. So that's an important thing that's happening right now. But even more important is the movement of things that would have happened in the real world into digital spaces. And one example of this happened in Belgium in the early stages of the lockdown. The tour of Flanders, which was scheduled to take place, I think it was in March, they actually said, okay, well, we can't have it live. So what they did was they invited some of the top competitors professional cyclers who would have been in that race, and they had them actually compete at home on stationary bikes with cameras on them, and then they used a gaming platform. They used the gaming platform, Be Cool. Yes, there it is. And they actually competed in this, and it was streamed on television with live commentator by professional commentators. And it's really exciting. It's, go check this clip out. It's actually fascinating. And just to see the effort that the cyclists are making, because you can see them up close and watch them go, really gripping stuff. And so this is what I mean by the, moving events that would have happened in the real world into gaming platforms turns out to be something that people are interested in and is viable. Another example that happened in the United States is NASCAR. So the NASCAR season was interrupted, so iRacing, an existing NASCAR-style gaming platform, they invited NASCAR professional racers to come in, it was the Pro Invitational Series, and actually race each other, online, again with cameras on their faces. And what's really cool, in a way in some ways it's even better than actually watching live racing, because you can because the drivers are not under stress, not under the G-forces. They're intent in winning this race, but it's a slightly more relaxed environment, which means we can hear they're talking to each other and they're talking to the commentators. And so, for example, in this moment right here, this picture I'm showing, the blue car has just knocked the white car and knocked it off to the side. And the guy on the right here, that's the driver of the white car, and he's disgusted, and he's like saying to the commentators, "Oh man, that's terrible. What you doing there?" And then the guy in the blue car, he ended up rage quitting out of the game, and his sponsor withdrew the sponsorship for him after that. So now we're starting to see not only events that would have happened in the real world moving on to gaming platforms and going digital, but we're also seeing effects in the real world from these things that are happening live. And so, I think this is a really important development of, this is the moment we actually start taking our lives online. And then, but the amazing thing, of course, is that when you take things online, you don't have to be bounded by reality. And one of my favorite examples of this is the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby, it's the major horse race in the United States, takes place on the first Saturday of every May, and they didn't run it this year. So instead, what NBC did was they took the 13 horses that have won the Triple Crown, which is a series of 3 very important races, of which the Kentucky Derby is the first. And over the 100+ years that these races have been run, only 13 horses have ever won all 3 of these Triple Crown races. And so the NBC actually digitized this, the Kentucky Derby, for it to be the Triple Crown winners running against each other, each running the race that they actually ran when they ran the Kentucky Derby. And so there's horses back to 1919, Sir Barton, that's the first one. So these are horses stretching over almost a century racing against each other. And even though if you know racing at all, you know who wins. There's Secretariat coming in, by quite a lot actually. Yay. But it was so beautiful. It made me cry watching this. I never dreamed that I would see all these horses running against each other. And it was just, it's giving me chills just to think about it now. This is the kind of stuff that's now possible. And this is the kind of stuff that's being unleashed now in this moment of COVID. Also in NASCAR, the iRacing series, they realized, well, wait a second, we're not bounded by reality. So they went and they scanned the North Wilkesboro Speedway, which is a speedway that was retired in 1996. And then they hosted one of their pro invitational events there, one of these online iRacing games thing, which is massive nostalgia for the NASCAR fans who loved that raceway and are sorry to see it go. And they invited back the driver who actually won the race in 1996, the very last race there. Really, really great stuff. So it's not just about moving reality online, it's starting to get into the unreality and the possibilities there. And this is really the true promise of the spatial internet. Now, Fortnite also demonstrating, we're all familiar with Marshmello's concert in Fortnite that happened last year in February, and 25 million people. But look at this. It was still a stage-based experience. It was, sure, there's pretty lights and stuff, and you could float in midair if you wanted to, but they still really were following a concert formula. We'll spin a year forward, and now we've got the Travis Scott concert that happened in April, and if you saw that one, it was totally trippy, completely unbounded by reality. That's the kind of thing that we're going for here in virtual reality and in the virtualization of, again, everyday kinds of events like concerts. Again, a lot of you might have seen this example too. Vivian Schwartz, who's a children's book author in the UK, she famously posted in Twitter, Zoom sucks, sorry Zoom. So we started having editorial meetings in Red Dead Redemption instead. It's nice to sit at the campfire and discuss projects with the wolves howling out in the night. We have to make sure we press the right button because otherwise we're going to strangle the people next to us. So having games, these familiar alternate universes being places where people are comfortable going when they're tired of being locked in their homes or just in the mundane kind of like, okay, well, I've seen all these faces before on Zoom. And I think this is an extremely important development because this is not just, us cutting edge people in the VR and AR community doing this. This is actually people discovering this out there on their own and it becoming a thing to do things in digital parallel universes. Animal Crossing, of course, it dropped at the same time that the lockdown came in, and it's a socially emphasizing game. And so we have, there's an AI researcher that's planning to have an artificial intelligence workshop, a whole conference in Animal Crossing in July, and all kinds of people are signing up. I really love that. But one of my friends was online, and she happened to catch a wedding that happened in Animal Crossing. And so this was a couple in Australia. You can see them down here in the screen picture here. And they actually got married with their avatars in Animal Crossing. And as soon as they kissed in Animal Crossing, all kinds of people, strangers from the internet, their friends went out and kind of got all these strangers on the internet to come in and bombard them and give them gifts, which is what you do in Animal Crossing, give them gifts and all kinds of stuff as wedding presents. And everybody was crying. I mean, it just really, really beautiful stuff. And so what I'm here to point out to you is that, look, it's the convergence of the XR technology development and that user awareness in the mass market of accessible alternate realities is happening right now. And this is the moment that's being forged by COVID. We're going to look back and go, this was the turning point. This is when people started realizing that an alternate reality was as good as, and in some ways even better than, the real reality around us. And this is the foundation that we need in terms of mass understanding to really make the XR world come to life and be taken up by Joe on the street. And so, and I want to end kind of here with this example from Qualcomm. They're really looking at using their chip stuff, specifically with 5G, to bring all kinds of spatial internet kinds of things into reality, including particularly repainting the areas around you to look like something. And for example, in this, I'm totally taking this from their marketing materials. Here's a kid and he's wearing a headset and it's repainting the world that he sees around him in the visual idiom of his favorite game. So why ever leave Fortnite? I know my kids would be happy to stay there forever. Or if you're not a game player, but hey, the nice living room, but you've seen this before. You want a change of pace? Okay, so you can pick TKey. Again, this is from Qualcomm's marketing materials. And so it's all the physical objects that are actually located there. Oh, that was the doorbell. Oh, real world. And now they're represented by other things so that you won't trip on them. This is definitely real world now. So, but these are the kinds. This is where we're going. This is where all the technology is taking us, and the really other important thing about the gaming universe and how it's great that we're crossing over with them, is that games mean money, which is why I started with that money slide. And so just as an example of what happens when you actually put together things that people want to do with locations, coming back to Niantic, Niantic has walking events where they actually have specific kind of Pokemon Go hunting events in particular cities on particular weekends, and they attract people who bring money, and it's demonstrable the kind of revenue that these gatherings generate. And so that gaming universe with the money attached to it and the devotees and the people who love those environments already, that together with the technology to actually bring together XR and AR, all of this coming together, yeah, we're at an inflection point right now. And as you can tell, I'm actually quite excited about it. So I want to close here with this quote from Bill Gates. We always overestimate the change that will happen in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will happen in the next 10. Don't let yourself be lulled into inaction. So just because I've been talking about things that are really kind of the way the world is going to look in 2030, it doesn't actually mean that you can kind of sit back and wait for the things to happen. Start acting now. Start thinking about how your company can, at the very least, start making partnerships and alliances to do what it can to actually bring these things into reality. We're certainly doing that in terms of getting 5G out there. That's really where Nokia is dedicated to making all this happen. And we can't wait to actually share this augmented, this virtual future for us all with all of you. So I will see you in some gaming engine somewhere very soon. Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry. Let me actually close with a reminder of this is what mobile data looked like in 2000. This is what mobile data looked like in 2007. When it happens fast. And we at Nokia very much know this story. And so we missed this particular turn of the market, and we are not going to miss the next one. So, be warned, everything's about to change. And with that, I end my talk. Thank you very much.